Okay, this is our first podcast, and it's still in a very early stage. But today with us we have Associate Professor Agnes.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, so I'll just quickly introduce. So, Prof. Agnes is a associate professor at Singapore Institute of Technology, and she's basically, the co-chair of the Design and Specialized Businesses Cluster Applied Research Committee, and the program director for our current degree programs at SIT. And she is an industrial designer by training. And basically her research interest sort of covers design for healthcare that will be sort of user-centric within our very digital and evolving age right now, right? So, is there anything else that you want to share about yourself, Agnes?
I'm also your colleague.
Yes,
we are
work
both
together.
design faculty.
Yes.
Yeah, we work together closely. This time, this year, Nicholas is also going to be doing some healthcare projects together with me.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a time where we should really collaborate closely with different design disciplines coming together to for various facets of the project.
Yeah, and I think healthcare is something that's very important now, since especially with the whole turn of COVID-19 and things that have been changing. And I think today's podcast we're looking at is really sort of talking a little bit about that, because as designers, I think we're very interested in the design field. All right, we're always trying to find ways how we can contribute to the design field, how we can grow the design field, how we can make sure that we showcase designers, all right, that are good, right, and showcase all the different interesting, cool projects that the design industry is doing in Singapore right now. So that's the thing that we're really sort of trying to showcase here. And with COVID now, I think there's a lot of changes. It's an evolving industry that we have. So I guess the first thing that we sort of want to talk about is how do you feel designers are being impacted by the virus today?
So it started early this year, where China's locked down for a while, but right now, I think just last week or early this week, they are almost back on their feet for exporting. So everyone is trying to reboot and start again, but I see more issues in the Europe side as it's less prepared. So a lot of our design and influences come from the Western world. For example, even the big fair, the Salone di Mobile in Milan, it is every year happening around April, but right now it's postponed to June. Situation is really bad in Italy. So this is an event that all the designers will always watch out for, the big furniture fair where everyone will go there and look at the latest trends. They have a few very interesting exhibits like Workplace 3.0. Even a platform that is meant for designers under 35. I think it's the Salone Satellite. It's a key event where hundreds and thousands of people will go there every year to have this dialogue with the everyone else internationally, and it's a custom of cultural sharing and creativity over there. So suddenly I feel that, so that is on the bigger scale that designers are kind of affected lah. And it's one of the thousands of stories. I mean, we have also design conferences being pushed back, gala award ceremony, festivals, concerts, all pushed back. Everybody is now kind of in a limbo mode and very careful with traveling. So these are, I think, some of the more global, more bigger scale things that affect designers lah.
I mean, recently, I think this week, So we're shooting this on the Thursday, which is the 26th of March, right? And what we've sort of heard recently is that the International Olympic Committee has decided to postpone the Olympics. So all these very big events are being pushed behind. And I think designers also have a lot of issues, right? I mean, do you still need a lot of design, especially maybe people who are supposed to be filming for some of these events, becoming photographers, doing the marketing for these events? That seems to be impacted, right? And I think locally also we have a few festivals. We have the Singapore International Arts Festivals and Film Festivals that were supposed to be happening. And I think last night on the news they were also showcasing a few of the actors for different shows. Now also we're starting to see, just recently announced the 2 nights before, about how clubs, bars, a lot of the entertainment areas are being affected. So that's also, I think it's a problem, but at the same time it's also an opportunity to say, hey, how can we move potentially entertainment into maybe a little bit more of a digital sphere, right? Because design in Singapore and I think across the world is a gig economy, right? So a GIG, right? Like, oh, can I get more gigs, right? In that sense. And I think that's that a lot of people are being affected by this, right? Of course, the businesses that are doing quite well, maybe your cleaning companies, the one that are busy, of course, is your frontline, right? The frontline healthcare ones. But I think design seems to be something that may be pushed back a little bit. And we're also starting to see that that may also impact our graduates as they are going out, right? Because the graduates that are going to go and find a job, if they want to be a freelancer, then that may be something that they are not, they may not have the opportunity to do so, right? But I mean, apart from events, are you also seeing? Have you seen or heard any cases or specific cases of designers not being able to function in this current situation, or they've been impacted quite strongly? In terms of the jobs that they're getting, any specific instances that you've heard of recently?
Not really.
Not really.
I think it's probably going to affect those who are not so digitally savvy. But if you can work remotely, and I mean, design is a creative problem-solving field. If you have that capability to proactively think out of the box, to think of looking out for clues and gaps in people's lives, help them improve things, not just making it more beautiful but better working performance, comfort, and blend in with their lifestyle. I think then you can find, like you said, some opportunities amidst difficulties, I guess. Yeah.
So I mean, you did mention some of these things that designers can solve, but what are some other problems that you think designers can solve in our situation today? Moving forward, or thinking that they can evolve in that sense, or again, I guess areas that they are. Do you identify new areas that designers can move into and try and be these problem solvers?
Okay, I think there are a few sectors that are affected by, the COVID-19. So, for example, we know tourism, aviation, retail, F&B. But of course, there's on the other side, there's the areas that are booming, like communications, health, well-being, telemedicine, for example. Yeah, so designers can approach in both sides. Either you go into those sectors who are in a downturn now, or you can also piggyback on the wave and go into those industries, those sectors that require a lot of design help. So I have 3 Ps that maybe can help as a method for people to look at how can design go better or be improved. So first P, it's for product. So there's plenty of product issues all around us. So with that physicality that needs to be designed or redesigned. So just now earlier part I spoke about like China being that big hub of providing a lot of exports to the world. So for a while when they were locked down, we kind of became helpless because they were the producer of a lot of materials and components. So without them, production lines kind of came to a halt. So this then makes us consider how supply chains actually work and how global businesses can be decentralized and be less dependent on this kind of a central hub. And can we then think about producing locally with new means of production? So we can now ask and start thinking also harder about products. How easy, how convenient are products used? Are they reliable? Are they cost effective? And can we think of any other alternatives available to make things work better? So the second P is for processes. Okay, so in the professional world, there's not just personal ways of doing things. So a lot of designers are very egocentric also to some extent. They're very proud of their craft. So, but then in the real world, there's a lot of other processes like procurement, manufacturing, construction, commissioning, and in terms of meeting deadlines, schedules, budgets. So design and designers have to see this as in reality, there's something that exists, and there are gaps in processes. So now that traveling is not so easy as before, there are more protocols in place, policies and all that. In certain organizations, even our own university can look kind of abrupt and scattered short. So it's not that the institutions are at fault, but this virus just make us kind of look very unprepared lah. So can we then, as designers, start to think about processes, about how to treat people and communicate with people in a more natural way, maybe less forceful, things like that. So that's my second P, which is for processes. And my third P is about from all these processes already, can we then look at performance? If we say that we are improving processes, then by right, it will then create better performance, right? I mean, I guess there's a lot of digital platforms available there. I mean, technology is just a tool, a means to enhance your performance. But if we are people-centric in our processes, then if people are happier, by right, they can perform better lah. So, but all this, I mean, having said all this, it does take time to see the effects.
Yeah, so I mean, those are three ways that designers can either find new markets, right? Identify new markets as themselves if they were freelancers, but also I think those three P's also does overlap if you are working in an organization, right? Like I think if your company maybe for some reason is not doing so much design now, or you're starting to see that is my role in the company being affected, right? Am I not getting as much work as I previously was doing? Then these three P's may be something that you can really step up and take the initiative as well, right? To say that, hey, let me create this new process, or let me try and look at a new process through my design lens. How can I look at creating a new product maybe, or how can I look at looking at measuring performance, or looking at the performance of different items as well, or different systems in the company measuring the performance of these kinds of things. So as a designer, I think it's in these kinds of times, to be able to problem solve is one thing, but I think also it's about taking the initiative also, right? To say, hey, hey, boss, can I try this, or can I, let's work towards something like this. And I think different people, of course, of different scopes, right? In terms of the company size, like if you are a company of 5, then of course you have you have the ability to be a bit more agile in that sense, to say that, hey, we can make some of these changes. But if you're a bigger organization with a lot of different departments, then that becomes a little bit more difficult, right? Because you need to try and figure out, actually, how do I really get all the different departments working on this particular process. So it's difficult. There are quite a few things that need to be considered and things that need to be done. But I think these three actually is a good stepping stone, right? And it's a good idea for designers to say that, let me try something in our department now. Let me try to do this. Let me try to do that. I think that's something that I think all designers need to consider and think about, like, especially in a very sensitive time right now that we have with the COVID and everything. And I think because it's healthcare also, I think the we've seen some new design, like not from the medical scientific aspects but how design has, I think recently they announced SGH had a new face mask that they worked with their design team or the innovation team on. So that's a small examples of how we've seen design try to create products in that particular sense now, right? So that, I think that's a good initiative and a good idea on how these designers can work on that lah. Yeah, which is true. Then I think the other thing that we wanted to sort of ask about also is or sort of talk about a little bit today is I think that with a very tough job market, so just now the 3 Ps are things that we definitely designers can sort of look at within their organizations. They can also start to look at things like they can look at when they're applying for when they're doing freelance in their own way, or they're doing their own gig economy projects. But people who are graduating, and I think that's something that we're very passionate about, because we're both teaching in a university, and one of the things that we're measured upon is saying, okay, how many of our graduates get a job after 6 months, right? So do you have any tips for design graduates that are coming out today, whether they're from graphic design background, interior design background, fine art, or industrial design, what do you think are some of the things that our designers can do to really improve their chances in getting a job, in this period? Because I think in a few months' time, a lot of them are going to be graduating from all the local universities in Singapore. Yeah.
I think if you ask me, let's say I'm a student now, what would I do? I will go into the markets that are booming.
Okay.
So for example, in online education, online entertainment, and then even for health, I think we are all health seekers. We may not be all healthcare designers, but we all have an experience with healthcare before. And normally it's quite a negative start. Like you fall sick, then you go and seek a doctor, right?
Yeah.
So I think that this market is definitely here to stay in all times, good or bad.
Yeah.
And it shows you a lot about life, about understanding people, pain points. So I will encourage even comms design, interior design students looking at spaces, or industrial designers, or to go into these few sectors and see where possibly they can find something that they're passionate about and work from there. Yeah, so and other sectors are like the online e-commerce, like online shopping, so maybe they can, if they are really not able to be attached to a company, a certain consultancy, why not they offer their services through online lah. Some of the, I don't know, they can put up something at Carousel, right? Even to
So which is quite true. The Carousel has a function for you to be able to provide your services. You don't really need an ACRA number or a business number, but you need to, because it's a service ad, I think you need to pay lah. But there are some ways you can avoid that because you may not have to put under a service specifically, but I've seen ads where people put their photography skills or graphic design or web design not as services but as products in a way. So you phrase it differently. Sometimes I've seen some people they can mitigate the cost of paying for it. But I mean, of course, if you pay a little bit for those carousel ads, you do get bumped up. You do get your a little bit of that marketing aspects saved as well. And I think the point you touch upon it with online is very valid today. I mean, we're seeing all our smart local, we're seeing all these night hour cinematics. A lot of the influencers, over the past few years, they've also started their own agencies where they're hiring people to create content. And you look at it, they are not, of course, not your big tier advertising agencies like your Ogrovis or your DBWAs or things like that, right? But they are actually doing and serving a very different market, and when actually what we're seeing is that the government is hiring a lot of these agencies, Mothership, Smart Local. They do a lot of work for the government, from what I've noticed as well, in terms of the types of ads that they do, a lot of campaigns that they do as well. And I think they do that because there's a little bit more on the ground feeling, rather than some of your big ads that are online or in print or in magazines, very traditional in a certain extent, but they're still using, so of course they're still using social media and the internet. But I think, yes, the online, looking at going digital is something that I think a lot of designers need to do. I think a few years ago, they constantly be talking about, let's create a new app, right? Let's create a new app for our organization and things like that. And apps are I think quite easy. Today they are quite easy to build. They run a lot of courses where elderly can run recipe apps and earn some revenue, right? Or and I think digitally, a lot of the tools nowadays, when I speak to some of my friends who are from IT backgrounds, right, they're saying that actually a lot of the programming you don't really need to do if you can understand how the different functions of an application or a website works, right? A lot of it is actually open source and drag and drop. So you can just take a lot of these functions that you may have, like maybe face recognition or text recognition or or mapping software. It's all linked to some of your big players like your Google, or there's code out there that is very easily cut and paste. So it's worth exploring, whether you want to go into app building or whether you want to go into creating content like what we are doing today. In a way, we're also trying to move in digitally to say move out of the classroom and go into into the online space, in terms of talking about things and educating as well. So I think that's something definitely we're seeing. I think, and also I think from what we've been looking at, especially about the whole entertainment business thing, I think with regards to a lot of our designers out there, go and find a company that's been affected by COVID, right? Look at your brick and mortar shops that are not doing well with the sales. Look at maybe some of the bars or alcohol shops or entertainment spaces, and then say, hey, let's just go and find some of these companies and say, hey, I'm able to do some stuff for you. I can do photography, I can do interior design for you, I can do graphic design, I can do web, I can do applications for you. And I think going to find some of these businesses that have been impacted, and I think you'll be able to work something out with them. Get a freelance job to be able to get a project based on something that you can do. So I think that's another way that you can go about in finding. In terms of finding, these kind of opportunities that are out there as well.
I think most important when you say you offer the design is also about, at the end, a better user experience.
Yeah.
Because if you are just going to help the business with surface things, and it may not have a long-term impact or value. But if you can let's say from interior design, you can go and say that now because there's this social distancing thing, people obviously have to sit further apart, but there's still there can be some better utilization of spaces in between for better user experience. You sit there longer with that cup of coffee, but you get something else in return, something like that. Then of course the businesses will appreciate your help, contribution there. So you mentioned a bit. Sorry, you mentioned a bit about our government, right? Just now. I wanted to. A thought came to my mind to say that actually I think our government also embrace design thinking. I think Singapore is small, but it works like an enterprise. So right now it's quickly rolling out a lot of different SOPs for us at this COVID. But I think nothing happens by chance. Everything it's calculated in some sense. So I think design can be like that also. A lot of people think that design is just arts, like very fluid, very fluffy, But actually design can be a science. It can be very systematic, just like how our government is using different media and people, to do the messaging and make sure that there are no assumptions along the way. Everyone is aligned, and then can bit by bit get accustomed to change. I think it's all been curated lah. So I think as a designer, as an individual, you can also influence your little community, and then also appreciate how the government has been taking steps to also provide that for society lah.
And I think we are starting to see when we talk about it, there is when you break down some of the things that the government has done, right? Like some of the initiatives that they've been doing, you can almost see a little bit of agile, a little bit of Scrum. There are some elements that they roll out in phases, or design thinking, whether they do a bit of prototyping, they try something out, and then if it works, then they will do it again, or they will change a little bit of the policy. So it's a bit iterative in that process, right? So not to say that other countries have done worse, right? But it's just that the way that they've done it, I think you can start to see a little bit of that design thinking, those values. The ministers or the MPs may not say it's design thinking, but we are seeing we're seeing the very similar
steps, as a from a design method
So I think when we start to identify some of these things that are being done, it's also good to see that actually it's being applied on a policy level. There is the iterative approach, that sort of user-centric approach, and there are things that are being done in iteration, and they are really defining very specific problems to try and solve, right? And I think we're starting to see a little bit of that. Maybe it's not a stage where it's fully policy design or user-centered design through policies, but you can start to see how it's being impacted, in contrast to some countries where, in this case, that there's a total ban on things or a full lockdown on things, you can start to see that actually the Singapore is doing it in a staged approach, right? In that sense, which what we align with and what we identify in design is that that iterative step-by-step approach. At each stage you get some feedback, right? And we can start to see when we went to DORSCON Orange, what was the general Singaporean population, how were they interacting, right?
They were buying toilet paper.
We were buying toilet paper. So in a sense, but the government, you can sort of say like, it worked. We got people to buy a bit of stuff. Yes, things were out of stock, but for one day, things went back to normal a little bit to a certain extent. People are staying out of their houses, which is, I think, the goal that the government wants, which is to say that let's keep this social distancing thing apart, a little bit more implemented, and let's make sure that our, like you were talking about just now, the whole idea of supply chains, right? Making sure that the supply chains are there, and let's try and see how the society will react. Right? I think this afternoon I saw an ABC feature on a feature. I think it was a host on the talk show from an Australian broadcasting corporation, and I think she was saying that how do we deal with this COVID? We deal with this COVID not by the hospitals. We don't deal with this COVID by the government. We actually deal with this COVID by the people,
The community,
right? Yeah, the community.
yeah.
So if the community is the biggest stakeholder that needs to be designed for,
Yeah.
how can the government policies be designed so that we make that change, and the change that the government needs us to make, to say that we're not in a state of panic,
Yeah.
we're not being too complacent about things, but where we need to be in a state where we know what we need to do, but still be prepared, to still take the correct initiatives, don't sit apart and do the things that we're supposed to do as a society. So if that's the goal, we can start to, and then we break it down, we can actually start to see that, actually, some of these things that have been done, been initiated, is, in response or, to set the stage to get to that point and, to get to that goal for us as a country. So I think what you bringing up this point is quite relevant, I feel, because the points that we talk about in terms of the processes, the performance, the products that we're seeing today. I think Singaporeans, one thing we're quite good is we're quite adaptable lah. So I'm sure our designers are also, when change comes, we will sometimes be not happy with the change, but I think we adapt quite well to a lot of the changes that we are faced with. So I think our designers, also the graduates that are coming up, I think embracing that change is a very key thing, and I think design, we've always seen that change. I mean, for you as an industrial designer, you evolved and moved into healthcare design, and then starting to look at also like services and all these processes, systems, all these other things that are there. And then for me myself, coming from originally a animation background, going into digital media, and then sort of doing more design research, user experience in that sense, understanding what human behavior is. I think not just us, but we've seen a lot of designers also embrace that change. So yeah, I mean, I think that's something that's quite comforting to know that as designers we have to change, and as designers we are able to make that change, I feel, So I think that's quite, as this conversation is going along, we have some scripts, right, to say, but I think this new topic about how designers need to change is something that we sort of, we rolled into it, but I think it's a good point that we've made, like, let's say that change is inevitable, and I think we need to be able to embrace that kind of change as well.
Then another point, I mean, skills aside, as a designer, in this time now, still try to maintain, say no to free design, but you need to be better prepared when you're negotiating for some work. But everybody will use the same reason, and I mean, the reason is a legit reason that they don't have much budgets to pay. So then, as a fresh graduate, are you prepared to lower your expectation? I mean, the design discipline is not like medicine or law, where the fresh grad can earn 5,500 as starting pay. So you have to be realistic. But I think maintain a good attitude, because if you have that positive attitude and always be seen to be contributing, value adding to the business or to the job that you are at, definitely people will recognize, and then either give you a recontract or make you into a perm staff. But I think everyone just need to start somewhere with some reasonable, realistic expectations and goals lah.
I mean we are seeing, if the market it isn't hiring as many designers now. I think one option that we've seen some of our previous graduates sort of do is they did internships.
Yeah.
You know, they did maybe a 3-month internship, 6-month internship. Maybe they're getting about $1,500, and then it get converted to about $2,800 or $3,000. So some companies may be open to that, but I think you know, in times like this, you need to be able to negotiate a little bit lah. You know, be a bit, you know, push a little bit, but don't push too much. You know, I think when you negotiate for your jobs, of course, don't do for free, but you must be comfortable with the amount as well. Think about you know what are the things you need to spend. I think in times like this, we try not to. Of course, we won't be shopping so much, but we still need to pay the bills. Still need to contribute to your household family. Money, budgets, feed yourself and things like that. You know, cannot travel, well, I guess you save on your travel fees or holiday fees. But you still need to be able to get a job to survive lah. I mean, we cannot just be sitting at home.
I think you need to be occupied also. You cannot be just sitting at home and getting bored and behaving like someone on SHN, right? You need to work to continue to gain experiences.
So I think we need to, as designers, we need to be constantly learning, trying new things. And I think for fresh grads, it's also, if you can get a job straight out, then good, right? Then that's good. Congratulations. Good for you. You may be at top tier, but we're starting to see that there's a natural bell curve lah. In terms of graduates, there's the good students. There's the average students, study above average, and then there's the students that just pass, and but so when we're talking about the opportunities, the good ones will go to the top students, right? But it's not to say that the market is so dire that designers have no jobs. I think we need to be able to find new opportunities. I think and there are a lot of businesses that need design. And it's about negotiating with them, to say that, hey, what I'm providing for you is a service. It's like you go to any accountant to get your finances done. You buy food, you sell food. It's not going to be free, unless you are willing to do it for a social organization, a non-profit lah. I mean, if you are keen and you're passionate about, let's say maybe you're passionate about animals or children, and then you want to do work for SPCA or sure, feel free to do so. But we also want to make sure that nobody gets taken advantage of. As designers, once you start offering free services, then it becomes.
Then it's very hard to then get paid.
Yeah, exactly. But once even if you get paid less, let's say for an hour's work, you're getting paid, $20 an hour for an hour's worth of work, and or average you usually get paid $30 an hour for a piece of work. Sometimes maybe you have to negotiate that a little bit, but I think we should never do it for free lah, no matter what lah. I mean, I think because we've seen a lot of cases where designers, hey, can I take my kid's birthday party, or can I do this, and so on and so forth. I think we just need to emphasize that the designers shouldn't be taken advantage of, and don't give yourself that scenario, unless, I mean, maybe a company is, a startup says, hey, do work with me, I'll give you equity in my company, I'll give you 2% of my company's equity stake. Sure, then it's you can always negotiate for different things, right? If a business you want to work for a restaurant, say, okay lah, you give me vouchers, I eat here every day for lunch or my dinner. I mean, there are ways that I think you can negotiate. Yeah, I mean, we can sort of do some barter trades in that sense. I work for you, I do some design work, you feed me, right? Or I do some design work, you let me stay in your place for a while, I think especially now that for if you're Malaysian, you're in Singapore, you are locked down for 24 days, right? That may be a good barter trade for you to say that let me do some work, and then you let me stay in your house lah, or you let me stay here lah, I think, which is good. I think we can evolve on the payment aspects lah, right? But you do need to get paid for your work. I think no matter what, as a freelancer in today's, even in today's sort of climate.
So if I can quote Albert Einstein,
sure.
In the middle of a difficulty lies opportunity. I think there's a Chinese saying also,
I
some
definitely
sort.
don't know that, but you.
I think
you
even
will know.
Indian code or whatever.
Something
yeah.
about the fight, maybe about the dragon rising from the flame. Is that a Chinese saying like that? Maybe you can,
I don't know, but
you can correct me if I'm
definitely
wrong,
in the midst of a storm, I mean,
Yeah.
the later on you will see the rainbow lah. I think
Yeah.
it's always a curve.
Yeah.
Don't be depressed and
Yeah.
don't be don't be shattered like that. Oh, this is a bad time to graduate, or it's hitting you hard. Because after that, I mean, for how much the dip is, I think it can rise up very quickly. It could be a very sharp curve upwards to better times. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's a sort of good quote to sort of think about. I mean, the COVID is something that I think everyone is affected lah. Whether you are affected by the type of jobs that you're doing, whether you're affected by your work from home or social distancing. We're starting to see schools also get caught with the virus. So I mean, we will, I think, naturally, or over time things will pass, and then we just have to keep evolving. And I think the one thing we want to sort of emphasize on is the fact that designers are need to be open to change. And I think there are a lot of opportunities out there to try and find for yourselves. Not formal full-time jobs maybe, but definitely there are some other things. Yeah.
Designers are supposed to be the creative people. So actually other people look at you, look at us.
Yeah.
So if we can inspire them, it's good for everyone around.
Yeah. So I mean, as we are finishing up, we've actually been filming in sort of this Paya Lebar PLQ, Paya Lebar Quarter Mall. Nice day out. You can sort of hear the train
We're
sort of
sitting
moving.
in the open instead of aircon space.
Didn't want to do it in indoor, because with the whole COVID, you don't want to sit too close, and then make sure that there's good ventilation. So we decided to do it out in the open, in the public space, and in the open area. I think that's we want to we'll do more. We'll be doing more of these podcasts. If you are a designer that you want to share your experiences, or you want to share about some interesting topics, if you know of anyone that you think is going to want to share about design essentially, or talk about a specific topic within design, I think come and leave a comment or drop me a message, because this initiative is really about embracing and acknowledging that design is everywhere. And I think for us, we want to showcase that that design is almost is surrounding us all the time, and we're always constantly being impacted by design. And I think when Agnes was talking about you don't even know that you already are part of the healthcare system, right, at the start. So similarly, you've already been designed for to a certain extent, the house you live in, the places you go. So I think we do want to talk about design. So if anybody is keen to have a chat with me, and be my co-host, or for the day, feel free to do so, and drop me a message, and then we will get in contact. All right. So is there anything else you want to say to our viewers or listeners of the show, Agnes?
I think life is beautiful. Continue to keep fighting and wash your hands.
Yes. 20 seconds. You can sing Happy Birthday twice, right?
Yes.
Or your favorite K-pop song or things like that. But okay, I guess that's all from us, and we'll sign off and we'll say bye-bye, and thank you for staying with us for the past this was about 40 over minutes, and thank you for your time, and we'll see you soon in the next video or the next podcast. All right, cool. So see you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you.